All right, I think we're going to get ready for our program for today. You'll have the opportunity to hop up if you'd like, but we'd like to have everybody get settled in. Good morning, I'm Joel Miller. I'm on the Board of Trustees here at Northwest State Community College, and I can't tell you how excited we are to have you on campus again this year to talk about the state of the college. And the state of the college, spoiler warning, it's pretty good. So we are very happy to have you here today and very excited to talk about the things that are going on for lifetime learners, for new students, for people who are learning trades and learning skills and moving forward and helping drive this economy in Northwest Ohio and beyond. I want to welcome up our board chair to start the day today. Sandy Barber currently serves as the chair of the Northwest State Community College Board of Trustees, representing Fulton County. Sandra served as Fulton County Recorder for 23 years, retiring in 2018 after serving 6 terms. A longtime Wauseon resident, Sandra was actively involved in numerous other boards and commissions at the city, county, and state level. She served on the Fulton County Health Center Board for 40 years, retiring in February of 24. She currently serves on the Ohio Turnpike and Infrastructure Commission Board and the Civil Service Commission in Wauseon. She also served 12 years as the chair of the Ohio Lottery Commission. Sandy enjoys walking, playing tennis, and traveling to visit her children and grandchildren in her spare time. Let's welcome to the stage Sandra Barber.
Good morning. I am Sandy Barber, Chair of the Board of Trustees, and on behalf of the board, we want to thank you for joining us for the 2024 State of the College Address. It is a privilege to be part of a great community college that cares so passionately about its students and its education. Today, you will hear about the many great things happening at Northwest State, your community's college. We will share how we positively impact our local communities, how we proudly continue to serve and support our 6-county service area, and how we will continue to forge strategic partnerships in the region to help elevate Northwest Ohio through the power of education. To start things off, I would like to introduce the president of Northwest State Community College, Dr. Todd Hernandez. Todd Hernandez is a native of Northwest Ohio and a 1989 graduate of Napoleon High School. He holds a doctorate of information technology from Walden University and currently serves as the 8th president of Northwest State Community College. He joined Northwest State team in 2010 and has served as training coordinator, chief information officer, vice president for innovation, and executive vice president. Todd served as a nuclear-trained service warfare officer in the United States Navy for 8 years. He returned to Northwest Ohio in 1999 and was employed as an electrical project engineer, eventually vice president for product development at Automatic Feed Company in Napoleon, Ohio. He has a strong commitment to helping people and strengthening community and feels very grateful to be at Northwest State Community College. He enjoys walking, reading, and golfing at his spare time. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Todd Hernandez.
Morning, everyone. How are you doing? Before we get started, how many people were here last year? Uh-oh. I was putting my speech together. I thought, how am I going to top last year? But we have some good things to share, so I'm excited about it. Before I get started, I'd like to acknowledge our Board of Trustees. So if the current and former board members, please stand so that we can thank you for your service. I know we have a number of legislators, mayors, commissioners as well, and I want to thank you for coming also. So let's get started. I always start with our mission, and our mission is to serve by providing access to excellent and affordable education, training, and services that will improve the lives of individuals and strengthen communities. And every time I say improve the lives of individuals and strengthen communities, I get goosebumps. Like, that's exciting, right? To be able to come to a place of work every day, and that's the output of what we do, that's amazing. Our values at Northwest State are people, integrity, learning. On the one hand, we always, all of our policies, the way we behave, the way we treat each other, we hold those values resolute of people, integrity, learning. But at the same time, we always have to strive for progress. We can sit back and let the environment change us to whatever the environment's going to, or we can be intentional about who we want to be and what type of organization we want to do and how we want to serve. So we keep this forefront in our mind and in our work every day as well. Just a little bit about the history of Northwest State. We started in 1968 as Ford County Technical Institute, so we were actually next door. In 1972, we became Northwest Technical College, and in 1994, we became a community college. And becoming a community college really adds that 2+2, or come to Northwest State for 2 years and then transfer to a 4-year university and get your degree. We have over 60 programs, the degrees and certificates, from anything from a short-term, few-week certificate to a year-long certificate, and then 2-year degrees. And then our bachelor's bound pathway is our 2+2 programs. Our student profile, so this is from the year that ended in the spring. This number, 6651, is about 150 students more than last year. Our workforce continues to grow. Our workforce development students, our apprentices, continue to grow. College Credit Plus, there was just over 1,000 students. Traditional students, almost 1,500. You can see our makeup of male versus female. And part-time students, 86%. That's actually about 60% or 20% higher than the national average. So we have a lot of part-time students in our makeup. And then you can see as well where our students are coming from as far as counties go. Our summer enrollment, we had what I would call a bumper crop. We had degree-seeking, early admit, workforce. We were up 28% this year versus last summer. And a lot of that was workforce. I know Luke Cook here is from the Lieutenant Governor's office. Tech Cred plays a huge role in our ability to offer workforce training. So thank you for that. Our fall enrollment is strong as well. If you look at just the degree seeking, so we put our enrollments in kind of 3 different buckets. The degree seeking, so those are students that walk through the door and enroll in a program. Early admit or College Credit Plus students, and then workforce. If you look at just the degree seeking and CCP population, that's a 4% growth over last year. And that's important to share because that population has been the most difficult. Our growth over the years from 2018 to today is 31%, but that was all workforce. And so we're starting to turn the corner on those other populations, which is very important. You heard earlier, Elevate Northwest Ohio, and what I would like to do is try to create a shared vision that we can all have and all contribute to. And Elevate Northwest Ohio it's about our college attainment rate in our 6 counties. If you look at our 6 counties, our service area, this is our college attainment rate. And if you look at some college or above, so the yellow over, and you stack that up, that adds up to 47% of our adult population has some college or above. There's been a number of studies, Governor DeWine has mentioned it. In order for Ohio to be successful, to continue economic growth and bring employers into and bring population into Ohio, we have to have a workforce that at least 65% of the adults have some college or above. As you can see, we're lacking here. And as we continue to work together and find ways, I'd like us all to point towards that Elevate Northwest Ohio and work together to achieve it. There's another report from Georgetown Center for Education and Workforce, and they did a huge report that by state discusses the college attainment level that will be necessary to sustain and grow. And they've kind of confirmed what we've heard from others, that 65% is the number that we need to get to. So I'd like to talk a little bit about our economic value as a community college. We had done a study several years ago that covered the FY 2019 year, and we just did another one. We completed it for, actually earlier just this spring for the fiscal year 22. And there's 3 takeaways from the economic study. The first one is that Northwest State generates more tax revenue than we actually take in. The second one is we create and retain wealth. And the third one is we perform better than the stock market as an investment. And I'm going to go into details about each of those. So this is just a comparison. On the left is the economic impact study from 2019, and on the right it's from 2022. And you can see a very large jump here. And when we talked with Lightcast is the organization that we partner with to develop the study, or to complete the study. They said the biggest reason for the jump that we see this time around is they failed to appropriately account for all of the workforce development stuff that we do here at Northwest State. So they really dove into the non-credit activities that we do during this study. So that's why there's such a big jump. So if I'm a student and I came to school in 2019 here at Northwest State, for every dollar I spent at Northwest State, I was going to get $3.30 back. But now, in the most current study, that rate of return is actually $4. So for every dollar a learner spends with Northwest State Community College investing in themselves, they'll receive $4 in return. Our graduates over the lifetime make nearly $400,000 more than their peers that have no college at all. And then you can see the rate of return is 16.2%. And does anybody have a guess for what the stock market is for a 20 or 30 year period? It's not 16. It's like 10.2 or something like that. So taxpayers, we're a very good investment for our taxpayers as well. Again, looking at 2019, for every tax dollar we received, the taxpayers received $2.70 back. Looking at the most current numbers, the return is $4.40 for every tax dollar we receive, and a rate of return of 11.1%. And the last kind of area that they look at in this study is society, and you can see that that's a 11.1. So Northwest State, not only are we a great investment, we're also very affordable. Our foundation does great work in generating and investing funds, but then also returning those funds to residents of Northwest Ohio to go to college. They awarded over $950,000 in scholarships this past year, and we continue to offer presidential and honor scholarships at a growing rate. This year we awarded 128 presidential and honor scholarships, and we currently have 250 students on presidential and honor scholarship. This is a chart that I've shown the last couple of years. So I talked about our different kind of buckets of the demographics that we keep track of. So our traditional students, our College Credit Plus, and then workforce. So if you look at the workforce and the College Credit Plus, those students don't pay anything. It's legislated that way for College Credit Plus. We have taken advantage of the $5 per hour or $5 per credit hour increase that the governor and chancellor have allowed. However, we've continued to keep the costs down for our students. So looking at just the traditional students, which doesn't include any of the workforce or CCP, if you average that over across all of the students, they pay an average of $58 per credit hour. But if you dig into that population, 53% of those students pay $107 per credit hour, while 47% of our students have zero cost out-of-pockets. That number is actually getting bigger. The first time I did this chart, it was 40%, It grew a little bit last year, and now it's almost half of the students, the traditional students coming to Northwest State, pay zero out of pocket. In preparing for the State of the College this year, about a month ago, I sent an email out to the entire campus and said, look, we've been talking and working towards Elevate Northwest Ohio for over a year now. Tell me some of the stories that you have that kind of just highlight what we've been doing as an institution to elevate Northwest Ohio. And here's a couple of success stories. Jane Durham was our commencement speaker this past spring. And in her speech, she said, I would never have a formal education because that ship has sailed. That's what she believed before she came to Northwest State. This family is a unique family. Their daughter came to the college, and her daughter brought her parents. So mom, dad, and daughter were all taking classes at Northwest State at the same time. Jane, all three have graduated. Jane is currently working on her first book. She wants to be an author. And all three of them are at the University of Toledo now. Great story. And then on the right is Arturo and his family. I met him at the Fulton County Fair. He graduated with an industrial maintenance certificate and is working at a local manufacturer and loves it. And you look at the smile on the faces of his family. He's just a great advocate for Northwest State. Our agriculture program was one story that came to my desk. In 2021, we had 5 students graduate with 0 potential students to start in the fall, and we actually were able to get some. This fall, 23 new learners started, and we currently have a total of 35 students in the ag programs now. Great growth. Nursing and allied health. One of the things I'm proud to or I'm at least thankful to our Dean of Nursing, is we've started evening classes now. So forever, if you wanted to be a nurse and you wanted to take classes at Northwest State, you had to come during the day. And last fall, we took our associate degree in nursing into the evenings. We've also taken our phlebotomy and medical coding and billing programs and did complete redesigns on them and moved them all online. The nursing division is taking a more personalized approach with our learners. In the past, if you were a student elsewhere and you came to Northwest State and you wanted to get in the nursing program, you pretty much had to start over. But now they're spending time with those learners, taking into account the credits that they already have, and then placing them appropriately in the program so that they don't have to start from scratch. And the nursing students are giving back. There's several of them that continue to reach back out to the nursing program and say, how can I help? I want to come and present. I want to be part of this program. So that's very exciting as well. STEM and industrial technologies, they've done some redesigns. They have flexible lab courses, so the content is all online. The learners go through videos and presentations kind of on their own time, and then they can schedule a time to come in to work in the labs to demonstrate their competencies. And then engineering is out in the community. Alumni Brink is a new program that started this fall, and Automatic Feed's been running for quite some time. But what these programs are, they're really kind of like pre-engineering classes. But kids from the high school leave the high school and they go to these 2 manufacturers to take College Credit Plus classes. And it's been great partnering with those organizations. They've built up classrooms. There's a picture of the Alumni Brink classroom. I can share a personal story. My son went through the program at an Automatic Feed company, and he loved it. He thought the faculty were great, but what he really benefited out of it is that's where he learned there was no way in the world he wanted to be a mechanical engineer. He wanted to be a software developer geek like his dad. College Credit Plus is a big focus for us. The Community College Research Center released a report and some things that we know. So we know that high school kids that start college classes while still in high school, they're more likely to go to college afterwards, and they're more likely to be successful in college. So when we think about Elevate Northwest Ohio, the sooner we can get our kids taking college classes, the more likely they're going to get some college afterwards, and the more likely they're going to be successful in doing that. Our recruiters were extraordinarily busy this past year. They did 25 information nights, 16 they went out to 16 different schools to do registrations there, and 18 schools invited us in to offer the AccuPlacer exam, which is kind of the college placement exam. That's important. We know that if we go out to a high school district and we do the AccuPlacer testing there, we're almost 5% more we're going to get 5% more students to enroll in College Credit Plus classes than if we don't go to that school district. So that's very important to us. And last year, for the first time, we offered a textbook scholarship for CCP. This is important for our school districts. So the way that the program works is when a student enrolls into a College Credit Plus program with us, the funding from that student comes to us. And then to add to that, we send a bill to the school district for the textbooks. And so I was working with several of the superintendents. I see Troy is here, and he and I think we got this idea over lunch one time. But it's been very helpful to the school districts, us to be able to offer that scholarship. And then we also invite the counselors in from the school districts every spring. That's something that we started just a couple of years ago. Paulding High School, this is Dr. Tomlinson. He is offering a intro to business at the high school, so he's going there and offering that. And he's actually looking at putting together a full 2-year program for high school students. And then we have APT Manufacturing Solutions is very similar to the programs I mentioned at Automatic Feed Company, but it's more of a pre-apprenticeship and hands-on skilled trades. And at the Dream Center, we're offering welding, construction, automotive. And if you're not connected to the Dream Center in that story, you really should, because it's pretty incredible what they've been able to accomplish in Defiance. We also have learner services. The Advising Center, and John and Jane are fake names, but they're real people. They're current students, so I didn't want to put their names out there. But our Advising Center originally was get on a plan, stay on a plan, get on a plan, stay on a plan, complete the plan. But they're going a little deeper now. They're having conversations, and they're looking at the experience of our learners and finding ways to get them to the finish line faster. So John wanted to get a degree in human services, and he was very, very close. In order to complete, he was going to have to take a course that we didn't offer until the spring. But working with the advisor, they were able to put together an associate of individualized studies, and John then only needed one class and is going to graduate this term instead of waiting till next year, right? Life can happen between now and next year, so let's get people completed as quickly as we can. And TRIO is learner support outside of the classroom. They do great work. TRIO is a service for first-generation students, students with limited incomes or an identified disability. One of the metrics that they track is the spring to fall retention, and their rate was 85.7%. As a college, we were at 70%, and nationally, that number is closer to 48 or 50% for community college. So very, very proud of that number for them. Custom training solutions. Who's familiar with custom training solutions here at the college? Okay, so that's our. We've branded our workforce development as custom training solutions, and that happened probably 20 years ago. But look at the growth in credentials that they've been able to award over the last several years. And again, this is largely due to the Tech Cred program. And if you're not familiar with that program, talk to the table over there. But it's something you really should be taking advantage of. there was no way for me to talk about all of our partners out in the community or even put all of our partner logos up in the community. So we put a bunch up there. I do want to talk about Alliance Automation, simply because it's a story, but it's a story I could tell about every single one of those partners up there. Alliance Automation for a long time was trying to get an apprenticeship program up and going for their employees, and they struggle because they send their employees out on the road to start up equipment, and it's not possible for them to enroll in a traditional 8-week or 16-week kind of course because they're going to miss part of it. They have to go to work. So working with them, we actually identified one of their employees who was qualified to teach our curriculum for their apprenticeship program. So we've qualified one of their team members to be a part-time faculty, and he teaches the curriculum to the apprentices when they're here, when they're not out on the road. It's been very successful. We had a meeting with the CEO just last week, and he's really excited about this program, and he can't wait to grow it. And he talked about how for so long he wasn't able to get it up and running. But the tagline I like to say is, let's find ways to say yes instead of reasons to say no. And that's really what Workforce is, and that's what Elevate Northwest Ohio is. Facilities, so we have 2 major construction projects going on, building renovations to be completed. That's December of 2025. The first floor will have a number of classrooms. We're going to have an esports lab. An ag lab will go on that first floor, and then the second floor is office spaces, the executive suite, and some conference rooms. Van Wert, we've been talking about a full-service campus in Van Wert for a while now. That's coming to fruition. It's a reality. There'll be a soft opening in January where there'll be some offices and some classrooms. We're going to start classes at the Van Wert campus in January of, right, John? Okay, good, yeah. With the completion of this brick portion in June of next year. So for the state of the college, 3 takeaways I want you to have is elevate Northwest Ohio. Let's elevate together. Let's partner. Let's find ways to say yes instead of reasons to say no. Excellence and values. Invest in your community with Northwest State. We're a better investment than the stock market. And we are here to service, improving lives together, committed to people around you. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Next on the agenda for today, we'd like to welcome up Avi Zaffini. He is the president and CEO of the Ohio Association of Community Colleges, an organization dedicated to the advancement and implementation of sound policy and initiatives supporting the more than 300,000 community college students here in the state of Ohio. Rooted in the belief that every person should have access to a high-quality college education, the OACC supports the mission of the state's 23 community colleges to provide programming in technical education, lower division baccalaureate education, developmental education, and continuing education in our local communities. Before assuming leadership in the OACC, Avi led business engagement and strategic initiatives at the Ohio Business Roundtable, a nonpartisan organization representing the CEOs of the state's largest corporations and employers. Prior to this work at the Business Roundtable, he spent nearly a decade in Ohio politics and state government, holding various positions in statewide campaigns and in the Ohio Secretary of State's office. He also served as Chief of Staff for Ohio Lieutenant Governor John Husted. Avi is a veteran of the United States Marines and completed combat tours to Iraq in 2006 and 2009. He earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science at The Ohio State University. Avi lives in Delaware with his wife Megan and their 3 children. Welcome, President Avi Zaffini.
Thank you. Good morning. Can everybody hear me? Usually that's not a problem for me. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. Thank you for the invitation. I have to share with you that bio is almost outdated here. This is the last trip that I have on the road. We are getting ready to welcome our fourth child, our baby girl, here in about a week. We are excited to welcome her. I do have my phone, so if it rings, I might have to run out. But I'm so grateful to be here with you all. And this is kind of like I said, my last road trip here before that exciting event happens. I'm glad to be here. This is my first time visiting Northwest State. Thank you so much, President Hernandez, for the invitation. It's great to be here and to learn more about the community colleges. As you all heard, this is still I just finished 2 months here on the job, coming in on 3. So I'm still in that education mode. I'm learning so much about all of the great things that our community colleges have to offer. And I wanted to start with a note of thanks for all of the great things that you all have done to support and engage with the OACC. And I asked our team to kind of give me a list of some of the people. I know it can never be an extensive list of people who have engaged with OACC and have supported those efforts and done some of our programming. So here's the list. I know there are more than the names that I'm going to read off here. Dr. Snyder, who's been involved in our Student Success Leadership Institute and many other Success Center initiatives. Thank you so much. And the participants in our Leadership Academy from the very first cohort all the way up until today, Cassie Rickenberg, Shannon Floyd, Ashlyn Cox, Tiffany Ludwig, and then our 2 cohort participants for this year, Susan Cheeseman and Franklin Roberts. We're grateful that you all see the value in these opportunities and that you're willing to participate. I have to thank Trustee Chair Sandy Barber for also being part of our organization. She's on my executive committee. She's our chair-elect. Thank you for being a part of that organization and for leading us. I'm grateful for that. And of course, Dr. Hernandez, I know you've been involved in so many ways. I cannot say thank you enough. Even in the short tenure, it's been a pleasure working with you. And thank you for being part of our legislative committee and helping to put together really the strategies and the work for getting together that important work to get ready for next year. So thank you. Thank you for your leadership there. I have 3 quick observations to share with you that I hope helps add some context to what I'm seeing and hearing out in Ohio, and I hope is an encouragement to the great work that you're doing here. So I'll share those with you. The first is, and these are all kind of basic observations, but I think that they work. The first is that Ohio's economy is changing. We see this change, and it's happening in many historic ways, and it's happening all across the state. It's not just in kind of the new industries that's coming, it's in our legacy industries. We see so many changes. If you look at even just our healthcare or our automotive sectors, and you see what's happening within those industries, it's clear that there's a lot of transformation, a lot of disruption happening. At the same time, we have new fields coming into Ohio, new sectors that are getting stronger and stronger. There's a huge list, but some of those include bioscience, battery technology, semiconductors, of course, to say nothing of artificial intelligence. And I understand if it's a little bit surprising that I would start by talking about the economy at a higher education event, but the topic is so central to community colleges, and it's central to the work that's being done here. That current economic momentum, those exciting things we're seeing, it can only be sustained with a workforce that is prepared to meet the needs of the future. Any workforce development that happens in our state is driven, I believe, and central to the amazing work that community colleges do and what you are doing here. If you look at, for example, manufacturing, which we're getting ready to celebrate, Manufacturing Month here in Ohio, starting here next week. We all know that Ohio has been a powerhouse in that area, and we have a proud history there. But the new investments that are coming in, the advanced manufacturing, these are all representing new skills and new abilities that workers need to have for the future of that sector. That means they have to get those skills here at community college, certifications and degrees. That's what the careers require. Like I said, our community colleges are the gateway to and the sustaining force for manufacturing and those new in-demand career fields that I mentioned. Our growing economy, the new employers coming to our state, and our industries need community college graduates and their skills. As my bio mentioned, I used to work at the Ohio Business Roundtable, which, if you're not familiar, is a nonpartisan organization representing the presidents and CEOs of Ohio's largest employers. So I got to see on that side of the ball how much employers are leaning and looking to and depending on community colleges to fill those roles. It's exciting. It's exciting to see. It's an indication of what can happen, that level of trust that's developing, but it also gives you a sense of where higher education might be going, and that's kind of my second point as it relates to at least workforce education. Workforce education is continually changing. As President Hernandez said in your speech just now, the level of customization is just impressive, and it's vast, and it is always happening. As the new guy on the job, I have been most struck and impressed by the different ways and different delivery methods that community colleges are providing workforce training. It's not just the associate degrees or the pathways. It's in the short-term certificate and credential space and the non-credit and other training offerings that are, uniquely customized. And I've been very impressed by how quickly these courses can be developed and how specific they can be to one business or entire sectors. It's very impressive. No matter what the future is, I think we can confidently say there will be an emphasis on that continual improvement, that continual delivery, and doing it at the speed of relevance before the training itself is irrelevant. And I think community colleges are very well positioned to take on that challenge. One Ohio legislator I spoke with recently compared the capabilities of community colleges to a Swiss Army knife. And I love that analogy. I think his point was right on, which was that there are so many versatile tools that can be easily deployed in nearly any situation. And what I've learned about community colleges in general and Northwest State specifically is that this is more and more an area of competency. It is driving our local economies. It's something to be really proud of and something to encourage and support. I know that you guys are looking to the future and you're considering those educational offerings every day, and the way that you're serving your community is really, really awesome. It's exciting to work in this area and to support the work that you did. And I guess my final point is kind of a wrap-up of those 2 points, and it's a little bit of a mouthful, so I'll say it twice. The collaboration of Ohio's community colleges is essential for our state's future economic and workforce success. The collaboration of our community colleges is essential for the state's future economic and workforce success. Maybe it's common sense, not easy always to pull off. We know that it's important for community colleges and that they do deliver best-in-class education that's relevant to local economies. That's happening. It's even better when all of Ohio's community colleges come together in this work. This is where we at OACC hope to help support and do that work alongside with you. And I can see 3 areas of kind of collaboration. First, it's critical for our community colleges together to collaborate with Ohio's elected leadership in the General Assembly and the governor's administration. We are glad to help lead this effort. Our primary job at OACC is to be a champion and an advocate for Ohio's community colleges. And of course, for us to do that job effectively, we need to know the things that you are doing, the challenges you are encountering, the accomplishments that you are seeing. And we have to know that stuff so we can effectively share that with our legislators who work on higher education policy. Now, those policies are not just about state funding. As you all know firsthand, and as I am learning, community colleges offer so many pathways. I know I already said this. So many pathways throughout the community, throughout higher education and in the private sector, that they really have an impact on almost every major issue that Ohio's leadership is looking to tackle. That's an amazing thing, because community colleges can make, or are already making, a positive impact on nearly every important future Ohio challenge. At the Ohio Association of Community Colleges, our job is to identify how our collective community plays a role in addressing those important priorities and to collaborate with elected officials in developing policies that can help support that work. Now, we're grateful to work with public officials who care deeply about Ohio. I know some of them are in this room. They see the value of community colleges. In these conversations, I'm always very heartened by and encouraged by those conversations. They want to see you all succeed, and they have great goals for Ohio. I want to say thank you to them for their service and for their motivations in this space. The second area of collaboration that I think is pivotal here is internal. And we try to lead this work and support this work at OACC as well, so our community colleges can excel together. Each member institution, including Northwest State, has unique centers of excellence and potential partnerships that can be shared with other colleges. At OACC, we provide that connection and the forum to do that work. Essentially, it's a chance for us to all answer this question: what should we do together? An example that many of you are familiar with, that I mentioned a little earlier, is the Student Success Center. Now, that unique collaborative partnership that was first in the nation, started in 2012, came about because our community colleges ultimately wanted to develop strategies together to look at things like completion and student success. We were honored to be a part of that work and for that Student Success Center to continue. The majority of our colleges now, including Northwest State, are implementing practices that we know, based on strong evidence, make a real and a lasting difference in student outcomes as a result of that combined effort. Because of that collaboration, Ohio's community colleges are able to achieve greater excellence together. The final area of collaboration I want to highlight this morning with you all is with Ohio's private sector. I suppose I started with the economy. That's where I should end as well. In recent years, Ohio's community colleges have stepped up their efforts to meet those local workforce demands, like I said, in degrees, in trainings, long and short-term certificates. They're succeeding for students and local businesses through adaptation, agility, and flexibility for every Ohio community. These efforts are centered regionally, but the outcomes have impact that can be felt all across the state. Together, I really believe that Ohio's community colleges have the opportunity to be the #1 workforce partner for our state's biggest economic moments. But that happens with collaboration with the private sector, not just together as community colleges. One of the reasons that so many new companies and industries are choosing Ohio as their new home is because of our college's proven ability to harness the educational and job training opportunities that these companies actually need, and to do it quickly, efficiently, and in a cost-effective manner. In fact, it's a selling point that that Jobs Ohio, our state's economic development agency, touts to potential job creators looking to move here to Ohio. You can see the ability is there, and community colleges are collaborating very well with the private sector right now. It can always be improved. That kind of agile responsiveness to community needs, the effective listening to employers, and the ability to fuel the talent pipelines is where the reputation for being able to speedily meet these demands is earned. I can't stress this enough, that as long as community colleges continue to collaborate with the private sector, the opportunities for our future economic momentum are very exciting, very bright, and very reachable. When we come together in those ways, too, I would say that while the success is certainly there, Ohio statewide success, the results are very local, and they're not vague. You see people that are starting careers for the first time. Like you said, it's inspiring to kind of see and be exposed to and be part of this work. You see businesses that are growing or coming to Ohio. That's all very, very relatable, and it happens in the communities. It's exciting to be a part of. Thank you for everything you're doing. Best wishes on an excellent year. I hope you know that Ohio is proud of Northwest State. It's an honor to support you in that work. Thank you all so very much.
I was thinking back as Avi was speaking in the beginning when he was going through kind of all of the connections with some of our people here, and I was remembering back to, I think our civilization had just started letters as long ago as I'm thinking back to when I started on the board here at Northwest State. And every board, anybody that's been on boards knows there's always letters, there's always, anagrams, there's always, different codes for things, and we have a ton of them here at Northwest State with all the groups that we work with. And OACC was one of the first ones that I clicked with right away, because there are so many things that we team up with OACC on, so many different resources that we draw on and collaborate with. And it's a lot like chambers, I think, too. Me being the chamber director in Henry County, we have so many different types of chambers all around the state of Ohio and all around the country, and every one of them does different things. Every one of them is great at different things, and OACC deals with community colleges in the same way. Every one of them does different things for their communities and their regions, and to be able to balance all of those and keep all the plates spinning and juggling everything at the same time is just a special organization. So thanks to Avi for being here today. One of the things that we want to do next is we want to welcome up Taylor Moyer. Taylor is a 2010 NSCC graduate who earned his Associates of Art degree in Historical Preservation. He then went on to accomplish a bachelor's degree of science in adolescent young adult social studies education with a minor in history at Bowling Green State University in 2014. Taylor is currently a teacher at Toledo School for the Arts and teaches senior humanities and psychology. And it's weird to think, because Taylor and I are getting up there in time. Taylor did a project here when he was a student at Northwest State for the chamber in Napoleon. So it was interesting to have Taylor back and doing things, such great things up in Toledo at the School for the Arts. He credits Northwest State with the gaining of great understandings of networking and forming meaningful relationships through education. Taylor stated, "I have found that the instructors I had at NSCC provided me with great examples of what I should be inside the classroom with my students. As a student himself who faced educational challenges, NSCC helped him gain his confidence as the educator he is today. He wants his students to have confidence, a love for learning, and a desire to make their home a truly great place." Let's welcome to the stage Taylor Moyer.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I thought I might have to introduce myself, so I'm going to skip a paragraph here and get us out early. I hope my words inspire you today to continue to propel Northwest State into the future. When I began my journey in education as a student, I struggled tremendously with mathematics, reading, and writing. Of course, if you know anything about the history of education in the United States of America, reading, writing, and arithmetic are what drove the one-room schoolhouses across those country fields of Northwest Ohio. At times, I struggled to maintain my grades, and my parents at times grew very weary about what my future might look like. They were never upfront with me about that, which I'm very grateful for, but I do know for a fact that my mother spent many sleepless nights worrying about what my future might look like. As I entered high school, I began working at Sauter Village in Archbold, Ohio. The one thing that they had told us on the field trip was to stick together, and that we couldn't go anywhere that we wanted to unattended. So I immediately split off and went to HR, where they had a sign posted that said, "Hiring." I was hired my sophomore year of high school, working at Natives and Newcomers. That was the one thing I always excelled at, history. I loved the story of those who had come before us, and always growing up in a family that had a deep sense and understanding of where our family history came from, all the way back to Bucks County, Pennsylvania in 1763. I was lucky enough to know both of my great-grandmothers incredibly well. I was fascinated by their stories of attending school in one-room schoolhouses, one of them not too far from here in a very small community called Ney. I was intrigued by their stories of growing up on farms in rural Northwest Ohio and New Jersey. I remember the first time I considered the distance of space and time when my great-grandmother, as I sat on the end of her bed, we were talking, and I had just come back from the movie theater with my parents. We had just watched the debut of the movie Titanic. Imagine me, 4th grade, between my mom and my dad, as Kate Winslet took her clothes off to be painted as one of those French girls. But as I sat on the end of my grandmother's bed and recalled the movie and talked about it, she said to me, "I remember when that happened." And I said, "You remember when the Titanic sank?" She said, "Yeah, I was 7 years old, and I can remember my father coming into the kitchen with a newspaper, and he said, 'Well, it happened.' And in big black headlines it said, 'Titanic sank.'" I sat there and I remember looking at her and I remember thinking, but I'm here, it's the 1990s, you're old, I'm not, but you were alive when that happened and you remembered it. And like that, space and time condensed down to us being in the same moment. And that struck me as a child. It impacted me. I've always been a student of American Indian culture. I looked up everything and anything that I could, spending most of my time researching, incredibly dedicated. It's what led to me working at Natives and Newcomers at Sauter Village. What led me to working at Sauter Village was the stories from my great-grandmother. But what does this have to do with Northwest State Community College? By senior year of high school, I didn't have a clear path forward. I certainly didn't have the grades to compete at a major university or a college institution. But Northwest State Community College provides opportunities for former students like me. When you think about it, Northwest State actually takes a risk. They take a fairly big risk. I don't know if you realize that even working here, perhaps. They don't set the bar so unobtainably high that somebody like me couldn't get in. You don't set the bar to where you take only the best and the greatest, the top of the class. You're willing to look at everybody in the class and say, what can we do here with these people? You don't get overly hung up on grade point averages, high test scores, and where people come from, who they are, or what their background is. That's a risk because you don't always know what you're getting. But because of Northwest State, I was also willing to take the risk. And guess what? I struggled at Northwest State with reading, writing, and math. It was hard. I failed my college algebra class not once, but twice. But what was different about Northwest State was instead of viewing me as a problem student, an issue, or something or someone that just didn't get it, Northwest State continued to provide various opportunities for me to reach my successes and learn from my challenges. The Tutoring Center for Math and Writing provided me the opportunity to take my learning into my own hands, provided me the opportunity to show up for myself and ask the hard questions that would get me the help to build my skills. I also found instructors like Chris Koppel, who did a profound job of educating every single student in that classroom. She had a way of taking people who did not know how to do math and show them that she could uplift, teach, and guide you so you would be able to walk out of the room knowing how to do that math and why you knew how to do it, not just because she told you to. Instructors like Cecily Roars, who, if you know her, she is particularly tough as nails. I can remember her on the first day saying, "My name is Cecily Roars like a lion roars," and I was terrified. She never hesitated to let me know where I could improve and what I needed to do to find success. She was tough and yet was able to inspire people with her love of literature. That's not something people can easily do. I was able to get real help and put the learning in my hands while others walked with me through the learning process. It is for all these reasons I was able to make the grade, pass my courses, and graduate from Northwest State Community College. And that is something unique about Northwest State. They seem to find faculty and staff who are passionate about their content and the school community. So many of you here are dedicated to the mission that is Northwest State Community College. When I graduated from Northwest State, though, yet again, I found myself at a crossroads. The Historic Preservation Program set me up to transfer seamlessly to Eastern Michigan University. But what I learned at Northwest State was that I was dedicated and passionate about human relationships, not just of the past, but also the present and the future. So instead of transferring to Eastern Michigan University, I transferred to Bowling Green State University. Because of my degree from Northwest State, BGSU did not even consider or look at my high school transcripts. Northwest State allowed me to prove to BGSU that I could successfully attend and graduate from their university. Most importantly, Northwest State proved to me that I could graduate from a university. I graduated from Bowling Green State University in 2014 with a Bachelor of Science in Adolescent Young Adult Social Studies Education with a minor in history. Why did I pick that? Because I felt that Northwest State had inspired me even more so than before to be passionate about those human relationships. And when I said the past and the future, I was dedicated to our story, the thing I love most, history. And if you don't know where the word history comes from, it is his story. Our story, the story of us. When I graduated from Bowling Green State University, I was hired 3 weeks later by the #1 public charter school in the state of Ohio, Toledo School for the Arts. I'm now in year 11. I find it no coincidence that I graduated from the #1 community college in the state of Ohio, and I now work for the #1 school in the state of Ohio. I have designed and instructed both their humanities curriculum and psychology courses. There are no state standards in Ohio for humanities or psychology. And because of that, TSA allows me to shine and be my best teaching self every single day. But that shine and best self began right here at Northwest State Community College. The skills I learned here at Northwest State allowed me to build myself. There were many people who helped construct those pieces along the way and help fit them together. Some of them are even in this room right now. And now I take those same skills and use them to build other people. Some people who graduate from Northwest State Community College design and build big buildings. Some design and build big jets and planes. Some build amazing highway systems and computer systems. But what I build are people. I would not be able to build people without Northwest State Community College building me. I sat down many years ago with my father and I asked, "Do you ever regret or are you embarrassed that I did not serve in the United States military?" As somebody who knows their family history, every single Moyer male has served in the United States military since 1763, which means it wasn't the United States military yet. That was the end of the French and Indian War. And my father looked at me and he said, "No. You might be the first Moyer to not serve in the United States military, but you're the first Moyer to graduate from college, not once, but twice." So as you leave here today, when you get frustrated with your job, when you get upset about perhaps not reaching a fundraising goal, or you're frustrated that you have to do the fundraising goal again for next year, maybe you question what all of this is about, remember, someone designed and built the building that we're in right now, but the people you are building inside of this building might very well revolutionize and change not just Northwest Ohio, but the world. I believe the greatest thing a person can do is live their life in service to their people. I did not know that you were going to use this photo, but these are my people. Just graduated from high school, and what you see are a bunch of smiling graduates. But what I see is a young man holding up a diploma up there who that you did not know was in my classroom because I fought tooth and nail to keep him here, because as an international student, 2 months into our school year together, his country was attacked by Russia. He's Ukrainian. And they wanted him back so he could immediately be deployed to the front lines. And I said, not today. That's him graduating. The young lady here with tears in her eyes, her mother died 2 years before graduation, sophomore year, from a heroin overdose. Her father died 1 month before graduation. The young lady on the far end smiling. Her mom and dad went through a tremendously terrible divorce, and I was able to help navigate that with her. We're all smiling. I help build them, they help build me. We live our life in service to our people. I thank you for letting me be just a small part of that service today, and I hope you are inspired today to get to work and be in service to your people. Thank you.
I can't follow that. One of the things, and I've known Taylor for a very long time, and he's helped build family members in my family as well with the theater program at Napoleon. One of the things that he touched on was the fact that Northwest State continues to get great people that walk the halls, that help people like Taylor and the other students that we've talked about and the other learners that we've talked about. And I think that's, in my wrap-up today, the thing that excites me and impresses me most about Northwest State and the other community colleges. I don't know a lot about the other community colleges, but what we can take away from it is that everybody in this room, everybody that walks these halls, we get great people here because they're working for their people. They're working for their communities. They're working for their learners. They're working for everything that they do the job for, and they can remember that every day. And we get reminded at times, and this message impacts for a lot of us. I think every year, hey, maybe I'll triple my board salary again this year. And I'm not great at math, but triple my board salary is 0. So, I get a triple raise every year to make 0 up. So, again, not great at math, Taylor, neither am I. So it's exciting to do. We do it for a reason. Everybody here does it for a reason. And that's, I think, what makes this place special. And we really want to thank you for being here today. So please be safe heading back to your day. We're glad you could be a part of this. If there's anything Northwest State can do for you, we will do it. We are customer-oriented. We are people-oriented. Let us know how we can help you. Thank you.